Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. Welcome back to another episode of this podcast where I answer your guys' questions, or I have a lovely guest, or I do a combination of the both. Or I just talk about something that is on my mind related to mental health, to societal issues, sociological kind of things. I literally don't even know what that means. And, talk about wanting to live an intentional life and how we do that and the problems that we can face. And, sometimes I offer, you could call it advice, or my thoughts, or maybe some educational pieces that I've picked up along the way. And sometimes I'm just kind of in it with you guys because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing either. So that's cool. That's feeling more acutely present for me today because I don't know, the world is kind of crazy. The world is crazy and heavy and really, really unknown and uncertain. And that's always been true, at least the unknown and uncertain part. But probably the heaviness and the craziness has always felt true. But it's weird to be living in such tense times. It feels like we're on the precipice of something and no one really knows what that something will be or how dramatic it will be, and that stresses me out. And it's also just life, we just have to keep waking up and doing things so we can pay our bills and scheduling dinners with friends and planning out our futures, even though we don't know what that's gonna look like, and it's super weird and dystopian sometimes. And so that's I don't know, I guess I didn't expect that to come out when I hit record, but that's just kind of what's been on my mind. It's like having to live in a bit of a suspended reality of I'm gonna keep planning something I want to do in the next 5 years and working and building something. And I also kind of feel like maybe life is going to look totally different. So, it's weird. And it's one of the dichotomies or the dualities that we have to hold, that we have to get comfortable with holding at one time. Anyway, let me know where you're at with all of this. I want to know how you're doing, and if you want support or if you want help, just to know that you're not alone with it, then here I'm offering that to you. But today I will answer a listener question that really doesn't have anything to do with this, but it's one that I struggled with a bit. I don't know. I just felt like I didn't have a really good answer or anything super potent to say about it. But that being said, keep listening, because I struggled and I strained the other day writing out some notes and trying to get something good out there for you guys. So I tried, and you guys can listen to that. But anyway, if you're new, hi, because this is a very special space where we like to explore life's big questions and small questions and every question in between, and think about how to live our lives in a way that feels most fulfilling, if possible. And that means it's very personal and it's very nuanced, and it takes a lifetime to figure out for each of us. This is just one avenue or platform in which I hope to support you on that journey, and also for us to find each other in a community of like-minded individuals. So yeah, everything I say here you can take with a grain of salt if you'd like. And I always have the best of intentions, but that doesn't mean I don't say things that I'm going to disagree with in 2 years, or that I'm going to disagree with tomorrow when I'm editing this. But I try my best. So if you want to submit your questions, email me at theevergreenrx@gmail.com, or send me a text, leave me a voicemail at 512-655-9888. I would love to hear from you. So let's go ahead and answer this next listener question for today. Dear Evergreen, I've noticed I'm always chasing the next big thing, whether it's a new hobby, job idea, or even a trip. I get really excited, dive into it, and once I'm there, I already feel bored or like I need to move on to something else. It makes me wonder if I'm addicted to beginnings. How do you tell the difference between genuinely outgrowing something and just being uncomfortable with the middle part of things? I feel this so heavy. I really do. I think that's part of the reason why I had a hard time like thinking about what to say about it, because I don't know, we're all addicted to dopamine, and so beginnings are really fun, and being in like the middle, like in any other part of something, is not as fun. I mean, maybe we get a little dopamine when we like complete something as well, but there's a lot of things in life that we want to do, especially like hobbies and things like that, or a job, that don't really have like an end. We're not working towards like, that 100th day, or leveling up to our black belt, or, there's not clear defined markers of success. And that's tough, because also like all through school that there are clear defined markers. Like we're kind of like built to think that hard work has to like end in some kind of graduation or ribbon or badge or whatever, that we will hit it, and then no matter what, if you hit the requirements, then you get that success. It doesn't really matter how good you are compared to the other people working for what you're doing, because you'll still get the achievement. I mean, not in everything, but there's a lot of things where it's like, C's get degrees, so do A's. It doesn't really matter as long as you meet the requirements. But that's not how it works with everything else. Like there's just nothing telling you that, oh yeah, you've done it, now time to move on. And so it's hard because we don't have those external factors and motivating sources to keep us pushing past the beginning stages of something. I used to be in like a really tough spot of wanting to do everything and still kind of believing that I could. And I just like, the only reason I wasn't is because I wasn't optimizing my time enough. I don't know when this happened, but there was a point where I like recognized that like recommendation lists, or like, TBR lists, or like the movies to watch before you die, where all of a sudden I was like, I need to complete these things. Like the 50 best movies, the 50 best books to read before you die. I was like, I need to now do this and check it off. And I quickly realized that like it's endless. Doesn't matter. Like I'm not going to be able to see everything, read everything, do every hobby, have every job that I've ever been interested in. We have very, very finite limitations. And that was so tough. And I don't know like why exactly, but maybe you can relate. Because I don't know. I just really wanted to be able to cross things off and feel like it was possible to get to everything that I want to in my life, and to like master it and complete it and check, move on. I'm also like a severe hobbyist. If you don't believe me, I got an award at my work party last year for most hobbies. So I love to do new things and to get really into them and to learn, which is a blessing and a curse. It's a bottomless pit. And like in this question, new hobby, new job, new place to visit, bottomless pit. We will never hit the end. Because one, the more you do, the more you get exposed to other things. And then you're like, now I want to do that thing. Or I'm at a pottery class because I wanted to do pottery. But now the person next to me is making a lamp and wiring it for their pottery project. Now I want to do that. And that includes like a whole other realm of things that I don't even know yet. And it's exhausting because, like I said, we're trying to outrun our limitations by always chasing the next big thing. But to get to your question on outgrowing something versus being uncomfortable in the middle, because clearly I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased to think it's probably that there's some discomfort being in the middle of things, because that's just a really hard place to live. I feel like universal experience is that, like, we all have the gung-ho, like, let's go sign up for a new class. And it's like really exciting for like the first 2 or 3. And then it starts to just kind of become routine and there's just not as much novelty to it. And so it's not really hitting the same chords that it was before. But there is a real difference between something just not being for you. And even if, and I say that with the caveat of like, something can be for you and you love it and then change and not be for you any longer. That's kind of what life is and why people have career changes and like used to be super into baking and now they spend a lot of their time painting. Like, we just outgrow things, and even when we've loved them for a while or for a long time, we can move on from it. So it is an important thing to ask, because I grapple with this a lot too, but we don't want to be stuck doing our routine and the same things we've always done because we feel like, well, I used to love it, so I should still love it and keep doing it even though it really is like boring me or don't like it. Like life's too short. We want to mix it up. If things aren't working for you, mix it up. So what I would think is to ask yourself some questions about whatever it is that you're wondering on. Like, does it still resonate with you? And check in with your body on that. Like, does it still resonate? Does it still have an ability to excite you? It might not excite you all the time. I always come back to my example of playing piano, because that's a hobby that I've really tried to stick to, even though it's so hard because there's no end in sight. But does it still have the ability to excite me sometimes? Yes. Not every day when I'm trying to practice and it's challenging and I'm learning a new piece or whatever. But yeah, when I play something I know, or when I, kind of get something new under my fingers, like, yeah, it does excite me. When I learn something new, I'm interested in it as a thing, as a special knowledge or whatever. Can you get into the flow state, even if it takes you a little bit? And I'm speaking more to hobbies with this one, but like, or a job, I guess, but can you get into the flow state? If you really focus on it, if you dedicate some time, can you eventually kind of get into that lost in what you're doing? If you learn more about it from others, does it still interest you? Like if you go and talk to somebody else that does what you do, or you watch videos online, or you pick up a book and you want to learn more about it, is it piquing your interest? Does it make you excited to kind of be in that community or get involved or get your hands into, like, does it inspire you? Does it strike something inside of you? Or is it like, yeah, okay, that's cool, but I don't really care. Like I was super into hand lettering in college, and for a while, like it really did pique my interest, and I loved, I would watch videos on it. I would like get tracing paper out and learn new styles. And now it's not that I don't like it, and it's cool to have it as a skill and like pull it out every now and then, but like I don't really care. I see somebody that does some new cool lettering style online and I can appreciate it and kind of acknowledge that I like it or whatever, but I don't really care to try it myself. Like it just doesn't do the same thing for me. That doesn't mean that it won't ever again. Things come in waves, so I might come back to it, but right now I think there's other things I want to spend my time on. And that is the truth with all of this. Like we have to decide what we want to spend our limited time on. And so if you're just finding it's really kind of a slog, I don't know. Like maybe that's your answer. Even if that can be the fact that you don't like the kind of messy middle of things, well, I don't know. If it still is really feeling like a slog to you, then that's still important to listen to. And there can be some perfectionism at play here. There's this great book called The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but it's by Catherine Morgan Schaffler, I think. I always want to say it's Schaffler, but I think it's Schaffler, and I'm looking at it over there on my bookshelf, and I'm like, Schaffler. I don't know. It's a great book, though. And the perfectionism of it all, it can really get you down when you're trying to do something that was like new and sparkly and fun, and then you get more into it and you're like, wait, hold on, why am I not better at this than I should be by now? Because it looks so easy for other people. And maybe you had a little bit of beginner's luck, and now it's sucking all the life and joy out of it because you feel like you have to be perfect at it, even though you're still like learning and you're in the novice intermediate phases. Because it gets messy in the middle and when the adrenaline fades. Like, as I said earlier, we're always chasing dopamine hits, and starting something new, going someplace, moving someplace new, that's a good way to get a dopamine hit and be like, damn, my problems are solved. Life is going to be great. All because you're just getting that rush of something new and unblemished. It's not imperfect yet because you don't know enough about it. It's not messy enough. It's like a new relationship. You don't know enough about the person, so you can really fantasize and make them into whoever you want in your mind. And so it feels really good. So with all of this being said, another place to check in is if this keeps happening where you like start something new and then you're like, damn, I don't care about it anymore. And like if it happens across context, that's a good sign that there's like something more going on about like this being a pattern, that sticking with something, commitment maybe is difficult for you and you want to look more into that, versus it being a genuine lack of interest in what you're doing. But only you will really know that, so I can't say. But if it is that you're running into a genuine lack of interest in things, that you're kind of like going with the wind and picking up new hobbies or trying different things out, and you just lose interest really quick, make sure to check in and see, do you know your values and what's important to you, and your lifestyle. Lifestyle is a huge thing before making a big decision or putting a lot of investment into something. An example of this is like, I really love the idea of sewing my own clothes. And yeah, I watch videos of people doing it and I'm like, this is fascinating. I love that. Except the fact that I kind of sometimes skip over the parts where they're explaining what they're doing. So that's probably not a good sign. And I also know my lifestyle and the amount of time I have in a day. And as much as I think in theory it would be so awesome to make my own shirt, I know I do not have the time to do that. I will not make the time to do that. And for a sign of trouble, like when I have to bring out like a pattern or something and be really exacting with it, because this is something you have to be more exact about, not going to work. Just not that kind of person. Not exacting about things. Don't love that. I'm going to get bored. I'm going to drop off. And then I'm going to have made this huge investment, have a sewing machine or something, and never use it and never touch it. And I know that about myself. So I'm not doing it. I'm not getting into it. Even though it sounds like it could be really cool, it's not for me. At least not right now. And that is really important because it can suck. It sucks to put a big investment into something and then be like, shit, I'm in the same place. I'm not really loving this. So think critically about it before you do that. Oh yeah, I guess that's all I had. Think critically, know yourself, know thyself, and look at, is it a motivation problem in general that you maybe want to address, or it's just every now and then you start something new, you got excited about it, maybe you saw a really cool TikTok about it, and then it didn't really stick. And so next time you can take your time with it a little bit more, really sit on it, really try to realistically envision what the reality of this thing will be, and then go from there. So anyway, I hope this helped, and let me know your thoughts in the comments of the pod below or over on social media, on Instagram or on TikTok. You can always send me a DM if you don't want your comments to be public. I would love to hear from you. So until I catch you with a new episode next Wednesday, I'll catch you over on socials, and I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.